Now we go to the second part, or the second major part of your ascending uh, tract system. And we're going to delve into your medial lemniscal pathway. So let's begin. Previously, we have described the anterolateral system, and that was your spinal lemniscus. Now we're going to talk about the medial lemniscal system. This system is known as your DCML, okay? Your dorsal column medial lemniscal system. Okay, that's so basically, what tracts are we talking about? We're talking about your dorsal column. Just a side note, when you talk about your lemniscus basically meant ribbon, sort of a broad strap, okay? And sometimes as it goes up, just like a ribbon, it rotates, okay? So that's what the neuroanatomists have in mind when they say lemniscus. So just to review, your dorsal column are your fine sensory modalities. And when we say fine sensory modalities, those are the discriminatory, or your highly precise sensation. Okay, they're not really protective, but you need them to function properly and to do your work with more precision. So we are talking about fine or discriminatory touch, meaning the kind of the kind of sensory or the touch sensation that helps you discriminate or differentiate between objects, the one that helps you um, differentiate one texture from the other, no matter how subtle. So that's very important. If you don't know how important it is, wait until you have anesthesia into your nerve bundles, and you won't be able to feel anything. That's when it hits you that you need those modalities very badly for you to function, even to hold a pen. Okay, so that's your fine discriminatory touch, your vibratory sense, your 2-point discrimination, and others. Also, don't forget your input from your joints, your ligaments, your muscle stretch. That's your conscious, conscious. For a while, I thought I had a stroke there. Conscious proprioception. Okay, what does that mean? Well, unconscious proprioception is basically a cerebellar function. Conscious proprioception is when you are cognizant of what position your joints are. Okay, so basically, when you're drilling something and your other hand is in here, you basically know where that drill is going because of the input from your other hand. Okay, but anyway, so we're going to talk about mainly your dorsal columns. And so when we're talking about your dorsal columns, okay, let's say you have a vibratory, a receptor for um, fine touch, or vibratory receptor, okay, dorsal root ganglion, and it's going to go into into the posterior horn. Okay, um, it's going to go through here, this part, your nucleus proprius. Okay, That's your dorsal column. Stopover. And then once, okay, so if this is your dorsal column, it's going to go here, and then it's going to go here. Basically, this is your area where you can find your dorsal column tracts. That is why it's called dorsal column, because it's in the dorsal part of your spinal cord between two posterior horns, and it's going to go up there, ascend. So it's going to go here, and as it goes through your medulla, just a little bit above your pyramids, it crosses, and then it goes up, synapses with your thalamus, and synapses here with your post central gyrus, because that is your primary sensory cortex. Okay, so all of that is easy peasy. You already gone through that. Okay, so let's look at it more in detail. Okay, here are your dorsal column tracts. You see, you might wonder why it's colored differently. It's because your dorsal columns have two distinct bundles. We'll discuss that in a while. But just to go back to our first track, remember your spinothalamic anterolateral system. This is it. The thing that you see here, this is your anterior spinothalamic tract. Okay, this part here, which is quite big actually, is your lateral spinothalamic tract. Okay, and do you know what this small thing here, remember horror story, sorry, spinotectal, that's your spinotectal tract. Okay, so let's go back to your dorsal column. Let's say this is your brain, this is your thalamus, this is your midbrain, your pons, okay, and then your medulla. And then your spinal cord. Let's draw your gray matter. Okay, so let's go in detail. You have your receptor here, sensory nerve, dorsal root ganglion, posterior spinal root, synapses with your nucleus proprius. Remember the drawing? Oops, not so nice. But this is your substantia gelatinosa. This is your nucleus proprius. Okay, so it synapses here, nucleus proprius. Okay, and it goes here. These are your dorsal columns. Okay, so why two? We'll see in a little while. So as it goes up, okay, at the level of your medulla, do you remember that we have two bulges there? Okay, you have two bulges there. So you have your C and your G. Okay, you have your cuneate tubercle, wherein you have your cuneate nuclei just underneath, and then you have your gracilis nuclei. What's the purpose? Okay, it depends on where this is. Okay, so remember, take note, T7. Okay, T7 down, it goes to the gracilis. T6 up, it goes to your cugnate nuclei. Okay, so if you're talking about your index finger, that's what C6, C5, C6, C7. Okay, so that's in your cugnate. If you're talking about your xiphoid area, that's T6. No, that's still cugnate. Your umbilicus, that's your T10. That already goes to your gracile nuclei. Okay, so let's say anal sensations, perianal sensations, that's S3, S4, S5, that's gracile nuclei. So basically, T6 up, it goes, all those sensations, all the fine sensations, conscious proprioception goes to cugnate. T7 down goes to gracile. Okay? Now, once you have that, they now cross. Okay? They now cross to the other side. Now, that crossing is now called your great lemniscal decussation, because that's your great sensory decussation. Sensory. Okay? These fibers are also called your internal arcuate fibers. It's just like your subclavian artery becoming your axillary artery, becoming your brachial artery. It's just the same path, only different names. Just remember that, because when you read your books and it's talking about internal arcuate fibers, they're just talking about your dorsal columns. After they cross at your medulla, they go up and they basically end up in your thalamus and then in your primary sensory cortex. Now, these fibers here are now called your medial lemniscus. Okay, so that's why it's called your medial lemniscal system. Now, this is your dorsal columns are actually very, very important also. If your spinothalamic tract is more on the side of protection, your dorsal columns help you function normally. Okay, so just to recap, these sensations, they're divided. So T6 up, all the sensations, the discriminatory touch, 2-point discrimination, whatever else. T6 up, they all go to cugnate. T7 down, they all go to gracile. Basically, they're on the same road, just different cars. Okay, so that's it for your DCML, dorsal column medial lemniscus. Thank you.